Hello, my name is Grin, and this is my beard. What crumb am I pulling out of my beard today? I want to talk about toxic people. Yeah, how to cut toxic people out of your life. I mean, not really so much how, because that's not really my expertise. I don't really know how. This thing is. I'm gonna put it down here. So, not so much how, but why it's important. And it is so important. I've known a lot of different people in my life, and I've cut some people out of my life completely. And some people, it's just like you wouldn't expect to cut these people out of your life. For instance, I've cut my brother out of my life, my older brother, and I don't think he's a bad person or anything like that. I just can't deal with that kind of stuff. That kind of the thing that he is into the thought processes that he's trying or wants to push is not something that I want to uh, spend any mental energy on because it's a nowhere game. um, Basically, it was conspiracy type stuff, and I just don't have any use for it. It's just not. I'm in Japan, so when it comes to political conspiracy nonsense, I don't want to be a part of it. I'm not. I don't live in the states, and it's not really a big part of my thing. It's not something. It's not a part of my life that I need. Um, Another person that I cut out of my life was this guy who I had thought was like my best friend in Japan. At first, he was kind of my boss for a company that I was working for that was sending. It was a what do you want to call it? What is it called? A dispatch company for English teachers in Japan, specifically in Gunma, and a school or schools would work with them to find English teachers for their school. And so this dispatch company, which was called RCS, he was one of the managers or supervisors of the 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 dispatch company, and he was my friend because he would give me information that I needed in order to not get in trouble, so to speak. Things would happen. People would make promises that just weren't happening, and he would give me that information like, oh no, that's not actually going to happen. Actually, and the truth is it's this and that kind of stuff. And it was a godsend because without that I would have lost a lot of money. I would have ended up taking on jobs that I wasn't uh, meant to do or things like that. So it was very nice. It was very useful, and he was so helpful to me. And even afterwards, anytime I needed help, he was kind of there for me. And I thought, he's just a nice person. Come to find out, it's not so much that a lot of those things that he was telling me about, he basically orchestrated himself, and he would create uh, instances and situations where he would become the good guy, the savior. It's like setting a house on fire and then being the first one to go in and save everybody out of the house. Oh, you're a hero. You saved all these people, except he started the fire. That kind of thing. And I didn't realize it at first, but then after a while, when I got to the point where I was going to leave his sphere of influence, leave the prefecture and get married, so that he would no longer be that big part of my life anymore. That's when he started doing really. He started going overboard on the things that he would do to try to get me to come back and get me to end my marriage, basically. And so I realized, oh, this guy, he is the instigator of all these problems that he is the savior of. When and so I mean, he really enjoyed being the hero kind of person, and being that person that somebody could say, "Oh wow, you helped me so much. I appreciate it so much." He really enjoyed that, and he would create those situations. And I cut him out completely. I blocked him on everything, on my phone, on uh, social media, everything. I don't want to have any more to do with him because I figured out what he was and what that was about. There's another person who would basically take anything that I said and turn it into a negative and only point out the negative points of it, and refuse to accept that there might be a different reason why I was doing something. It was what he thought I was saying was exactly that, and there couldn't be any other reason why I would say what I say. And that kind of person also was like, you I get where you're coming from, but you're not listening to what I'm saying. It, I'm not I'm not saying what you're saying, or at least I'm not trying to. And I do understand what you're saying, but the way you're coming out about it is not constructive. It's just causing problems. And I think it was something about wearing masks, and I was like, anyone who's living in Japan where people wear masks for just regular any reason at all, and you choose to not follow that custom, then you are the bad person. You are not okay. You need to. If everybody's wearing masks, you should be wearing masks too. And he was just like, why am I the bad guy because I don't wear a mask? Why do you have to be so rude about to me about that? I'm like, not. I'm just saying. Anyways, he it doesn't matter what I was saying. He didn't want to hear it. He only wanted to believe what he wanted to believe and see how he felt that it was being portrayed. Fine. So I cut that person out of my life too. Uh, this kind of negativity, these kinds of people, you shouldn't. You should get to the point where you realize it's not worth it. So anytime you have one of these types of people, it's probably better off for you in your mental health and everything, probably your complete health, to cut them out of your life completely. Now, I'm not saying that anything should be done like this. These people that I'm talking about actually have these like mental uh, processes that they go through. Maybe they're psychoses. Maybe it's maybe they're sociopaths or narcissists, things like that. But unless you know what that is and what that means and the psychology behind it, then it's really difficult to be able to just say, "Oh, he's a narcissist. You got to cut him out of your life," because that can be nebulous. That can be something that's not easily understandable. So you kind of have to, if you have trouble with someone, then you should probably analyze that situation with that specific person, and try to understand why that person is doing that, and not to the point where you need to help them understand, but you need to understand them and why they are doing these things. And if they are completely unwilling to accept your opinion or respect your own thoughts, then they are toxic. And you should cut that kind of person out of your life, because it will just, cutting them out will just improve your life. Leaving them in will just cause you problems. However, I'm not saying that you should just cut everybody out of your life that ever causes you a problem. Sometimes things happen. The difference would be like if somebody says, uh, let's go to a movie tomorrow at 5 o'clock," and then they show up at 6. And the movie has already started, and you haven't bought your tickets because you're waiting for them. And then they show up and say, "I'm so sorry, something happened." That's fine. Then you say, "Why didn't you call me?" And they say, "Well, I was at the hospital and I couldn't call you," type of thing. "I made a mistake. I'm sorry. I could have called you, but I was so busy. I just I didn't have a chance to, and I apologize." That's okay. But if they say, Well, I had some other things to do, and those things were so important that I just couldn't do it. I'm If they don't have any sense of apology, like I know I messed up your day and whatnot, and I'm really sorry for that, and I'll try not to do it again. If they're like that, then that's great. But if they don't have any kind of aspect like that, where they realize that they've caused problems for you and they don't feel bad about it, then yeah, you should cut that kind of person out of your life for sure. That's pretty easy to understand. Now, people who like if they're trying to make you feel bad, well, you didn't tell me that you were going to come to this side of the mall instead of over on the other side, and so I spent 15 minutes trying to find you. I would have been here earlier than that, but it was your fault. That's definitely toxic. No, 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 no. Should have called me, type of thing. Yeah, you should be able to analyze each situation, and if things like that happen often, yeah, you should think about cutting them out of your friend circle or whatever. Just not deal with them so much anymore. And it's can be really difficult to figure out which people are those types of people. But if you're consistently getting into trouble with that person, you should definitely think about not being with that person. Now, I've had kind of a situation like this before where I've been cut out of a group of friends, and in this case, it was a good thing because those friends were druggies, and I wasn't uh, the druggy enough person for them. I was too normal, I guess, and they decided that they didn't want to hang around me. Uh, and that's when I decided that I was never gonna do any kind of drugs, marijuana, or anything else. And and that was a good thing. So I actually appreciate that. um, so it kind of goes both ways. Yeah, I've been cut out that one time. I don't know of any other time where I've been like completely cut out, but I'm pretty sure it's happened. And it's just I've not realized it or something like that. So know that you can also be the toxic person, and you should be able to realize that as well. Sometimes it's not so easy. In fact, I've been uh, I've been married for more than a decade, 14 years now, and being in a relationship is really a long term, family relationship, especially when you have two different cultures that are really opposites of each other, can be an extremely difficult um, thing to mitigate, to uh, consolidate, or come to an agreement, or to compromise with. There are certain things that you just feel like you can't compromise on, and I think in those cases, uh, patience and uh, patience and consistency is the most important thing that you can do. However, if those things are hurting you or hurting your partner, you should really consider uh, whatever you have to do in order to not have that happen. Because when it comes to pain, whether it's physical or mental pain, those things should not be a, a common occurrence. Should not be. So if it is a common occurrence, then you need to do something. And in my case, I actually got therapy for myself. Like, what am I doing wrong? How can I change? How can I be a better person? Although my partner didn't really have any desire to look for any kind of changes or anything like that, I was able to see in myself what I can change for myself, or how to set my own boundaries and things like that, which I should have done from the beginning, but I didn't do well enough. Setting boundaries is really important, and if somebody crosses those boundaries, the consequences should be, you know, consistent. They should be consistent. So if you say, don't ever, okay, if you can't make it, you need to call me. If you can't make the movie, and I'm gonna wait, you need to let me know before you show up an hour late. That's a boundary, and it should not be crossed. And if it is crossed, it's like you need to be consistent on the consequences of that. I'm sorry, I don't want to go out to a movie with you anymore. I don't want to do this with you anymore. Um, you could give them a chance and be like, okay, I accept that this was a mistake. And then if it happens again, evaluate each one as is this a mistake, or is this a is it a mistake, or is it a, what is it called? Is it a pattern? If it's a pattern, then you should probably do something about it. And the reason why I'm saying this is because uh, I have I have some friends who I've been friends with for a very long time, and we we don't really talk much. But when we do talk, when we do meet up again or whatnot, it's like we haven't been away, and we can just be friends again, like we were never apart. And I have quite a few friends like that. In fact, one last night, a friend of mine and I, we played a video game until real late last night. And that's why I didn't make a video yesterday, last night, because I was busy having fun with him, and I haven't had that in a long time. So it was great, and this is a guy that for, I don't know, 4 years we barely talked to each other, and then suddenly we started, hanging out and talking to each other again, and it's just like we never were apart, and it's great. That's a good thing. That's the kind of relationship that you should be able to have with somebody, right? And I think that's what I'm trying to say. You need to be able to choose your people and be willing to make those sacrifices of those people who are causing problems in your life, and just cut them out, however, as best you can. Now, in some cases, like like I said, that guy that uh, basically tried to destroy my marriage and cause all kinds of problems, that kind of person, you need to cut that kind of person out completely. Because if I was just that, that could have ruined my life. And I know he would have probably come around the bend to be the savior at some point, and help me out so that I could get back on my feet. But then as soon as I get back on my feet, he would find a way to pull me down, and then so that he could help me get back on my feet again. That was his thing. It was what that was his psychosis. That was uh his mode of operation. I don't know. But those kinds of people, you really need to learn to get rid of them, get them out, because they're that kind of toxicity will only cause problems. All right, well, that's what was in my beard, and I hope if you have these kinds of things, and if it helps any, then that's great. But I needed to talk about it for me in the future, so that when I start thinking about it, and if I forget, this is why I did these things, and these are the kinds of people that I'm trying to cut out, and these are the kinds of people I'm trying to keep in. Now, just because somebody, okay, one more thing. Just because somebody is helpful doesn't mean that it's healthy. Like I said, that one friend who basically was causing my problems in order to be the hero, and he was very helpful. And anytime I needed something from him, he was there. But a lot of those problems that I needed his help for were because of his actions. So, uh, yeah, there's very smart uh, people out there that are not good people. So be careful. Best way I can explain it, I guess. I don't know. It's hard to say. I don't think I'm smart enough to explain it, and I haven't studied psychology enough to be able to tell you what kind of people are the best and what kind aren't. But if you are having trouble, I think you should find out, and you should do that research and talk to a psychiatrist or psychologist to find out what you can do or what you might be doing wrong. Self help. You can't, basically, you can't change other people. You can only change yourself. So figure out what you need to change in order to collect those people who are benefit to yourself. And I think it boils down to there's different types of people in the world, and there's different kinds of relationships. And what you want is to find the relationships that are beneficial to both parties. So if you're in a relationship with somebody and that person is benefiting while you are not, that's not good. Or if you are only benefiting and they are not, that's not good. But if you are both benefiting, that is good. That's how a real relationship should work, where both people benefit from it, which means you come to a compromise so that there is a benefit on both sides. That's all I got to say. Good luck out there. Thanks for watching.